Alrighty, time for another quick update. I know it's been a fair while since the last one, but I've been busy, so I'll show you what I've been doing. So this is where we are at currently with the car. As you can see, we made a fair bit of progress since the last video. I think the last time you saw it, it was just the body on the frame, no doors, no radiator, no bonnet, that kind of thing. So I've been doing a lot of body work lately. Um, First thing I did was the four doors. You can see they weren't finished last time, so they now are. Second thing is the mud guards. So I've done 3 out of the 4. You can see I've got the 2 front ones here. I've got one hanging up there above the light. And then the last one I have to do is that rear one there, which is still bare metal. But of course, you've got to wait 2 to 3 weeks to polish it, or to give it a wet sand and a polish. Being acrylic paint, you've got to let it cure properly and all the solvents evaporate, otherwise you get blistering down the road. So, and the last thing I have painted is the bonnet, as you can see. So, I know you might think it's missing one side, but it's back here. There it is. There's the vents, you can see there. I've still got to polish that one, but it's an absolute pain to do because you've got to get into each individual little flute, and it's time consuming, to say the least. But I've just spent this evening polishing. So I've bought myself a dual action orbital polisher, which is fantastic. If you haven't got one, get one. This one's a DAS 6, so DAS 6. And I got it with a Manzerna polisher kit, and it does a fantastic job. This is only acrylic single stage, no clear coat, and there's no wax on this at the moment. That's just the shine from the paint. You could eat off it. It's so nice. I'm so happy the way it's turned out. And now the radiator lets it down because there's a few little dings and dents in it, like that there, and a few other things, but it's not too bad overall. So on top of that, we have done the running boards. They've got that rubber matting on there. We've got a aluminium strip to go on the edge, but that still hasn't. We can't put it on yet, sorry, because we've got to put it on after the rear mud guards are on. Also had a bit of nickeling done, so all our door handles are done. I turned up these. Also bought a lathe over there somewhere by the window. You can't see it. So I turned all these up and had these nickel plated and made those out of brass. Around the back of the car, not a lot. Can't really see much. But then more work has also been done on the interior. I don't think there was any work that was done on the interior last time you guys saw the car. I'll turn my light on. Torch. There we go. So, dashboard is in. I had that laser cut with an order from university. So that turned out fantastic actually. The old one, which you can see hanging up just there, that was all twisted and out of shape and had dents. And also the center dash cluster was crooked. The gauges weren't equal height, and the screws weren't symmetrical. It just would have annoyed me. So I thought I'll get a new one cut and it'll be absolutely dead flat. And I can just wet sand it and polish it to my heart's content. And it's come up pretty good. Unfortunately, I didn't have the polisher over there, because if I did have that, I would have polished it with that and it would have come up a lot better, but still, it's not bad, not too bad. So you can see, I've got a clock, 8-day Smith's clock, got a matching speedo over there. This little doodad is the economizer, so it lowers the needle onto the jet, like the main jet in the carby, which is supposed to atomize the fuel better and gives you better fuel consumption, ideally. And then of course you've got your oil pressure and ammeter and a dash light, which I haven't got the battery connected at the moment. And you can also see I've been busy doing a bit of upholstery. I've bought myself a Seiko industrial sewing machine, which is over there under that cover, which I'll show you that now quickly. Just quickly. Glad we have the cover, it's very dusty. You can see here. We sort of jumped in and bought one without fully researching, so we ended up getting a twin needle sewing machine, and we're only using one needle at the moment, so it does a fantastic job, but because the foot is so wide, trying to turn corners is really difficult. So it'd be fine for doing the pleats on the car, but trying to do tricky ornate stuff is difficult, so I've made another foot for it, which makes it easier. And we also bought a servo motor for the sewing machine. This one's a 3/4 horsepower, so quite reliable, from Canada, or manufactured in Canada. I was lucky enough that they actually make them in a 220 volt version as well, not instead of 120 for the States. So I put that on, and that's fantastic. And you can see my handyman work with it. I've been busy over here. So all 4 door cards, that door card there is for that door. So I've done that one, and this one, but this one's completely finished now. So I've got the little clasp there. I had these F scripts, I had them 3D printed. A friend of mine has a 3D printer, and he printed them for me, which was really nice of him. And then I made door flaps and the insert out of trim board, which is like a cardboard gasket paper sort of material, which is, you know, it's an upholstery supply. Made them, glued the vinyl over and pressed it around the F script, and then sewed along here with my sewing machine. And then I sewed a strip underneath there. And it was actually really hard to work out how this is done by a professional upholsterer. So there's nothing on the internet about how to upholster old, you know, cars like this. So I sort of had to get inventive and be a bit nosy and have a look at other people's cars. But that turned out really well. I'm really happy. And all these screws came from America. They were a website that specialised in old antiques or old flathead screws, because, of course, Phillips head wasn't invented until the 30s, I think the early 30s, by Mr. Phillips, funny enough. Back on track. Also had these laser cut at the same order as these, as a dash, sorry. They are 3mm brass, and I had them nickel plated after chamfering the edges and countersinking the holes to the screws. So when the phone decides to focus, there we go, they turned out really nice. And that's just for your door latch to slide in. And then I've also finished it off with a bit of piping down the side, which looks easy to do, but it is so fiddly, you would not believe. Looks really nice, I'm really happy. And I've done the same thing on these pillar parts, all the way down here. Probably see it easier on that side. Goes down there. And around the dashboard as well. So, what's left is that guard. I've got the rear number plate panel just here, which has to be painted yet. I've still got to do a bit more body work on that. And then it's just upholstery in the hood, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is still. So I have started on the seats for the front. Got the springs and wrapped them in foam. Of course, this car didn't come with any, so these are from something else. I'm assuming the Dodge, I'm not sure. We're not going to have a red foam cushion in the back, of course. That's just there for the time being. So we've got that. I've got 3 more door cards to finish off. I've got the carpeting to do, which will be the last thing we do. And then the back seat. We do have springs, we just haven't made them fit yet. And then, of course, the side panels, which are going to have pleats vertically. So yeah, but there is a spanner in the works. I've graduated university last year as a mechanical engineer. I'll sit the phone down so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So I graduated last year as a mechanical engineer, and I've recently got a job in Melbourne, over in Victoria. I'm in South Australia at the moment with my parents. So I'll be moving over there in the next couple of weeks, which means this will have to stay here for the time being with my family. The long-term goal is to get it over there, hopefully in the next couple of months or so, to finish it, because we are shooting for the Beta Birdwood this year. It's currently like the 9th of June, the Beta Birdwood's the end of September, so we're shooting for that, and we're mildly confident we'll get there, but with me moving over there, that makes it a bit trickier. So I'll be taking the sewing machine over with me, the 3 more door cards, and the front seat, and I'm going to set them up in a room somewhere or whatever, and just try and knock those out and finish them. So if and when I fly back or drive back, probably have to drive because I won't be able to fit that in luggage, I'll take them with me and fit them to the car, and then I can just do it bit by bit. And with the help of my dad, he'll be able to do a few other little things like headlights and the number plate panel and things like that. Hopefully we'll get it to a state where it's ready to get on the road, and fingers crossed no mechanical issues happen then. As it is, the clutch is a bit sticky, we need to lubricate that because we didn't do that properly, and the starter motor needs to be lubricated because the starting dog doesn't want to spin out all the time. But apart from that, we're getting there. So I'll pick this back up. I was also going to show you all of our electrics up and running now. So you've got an isolator switch down here, which I'll turn on. Ready gear. So we have indicators now, which is nice. It's the small things. So nice little flashy indicators. You got to have them. You can't live without them on the roads here. And also got a horn. The button's just here. Sounds a bit sick, but it'll do. It'll get us on the road, and we can find a better one later down the track. And then, of course, everything that's hooked up for the motor. We're up and running. I'll come around this side so you can see the motor. Lift up the bonnet. There you go. So we're getting there. It drives beautifully. If you take it up and down the road, it's an absolute dream to drive. Steering is very nice and tight. That's all the movement there is in the whole system, which might still look like a lot, but it's bugger all when you compare it to the Morris behind me. That is terrible. So yeah, that's about all there is for the moment. I shall try and keep you guys updated if and when I have time and if and when I'm back working on the car. But it is really starting to come along and I'm really liking the way it looks. Oh, and the windscreen's on, you haven't seen that. But yeah, I better go. This video is almost 10 minutes long already. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next.